How to train your mind. Like EU. Tell yourself you'll focus today, even after countless productivity books and apps. What if you could train your mind with the same techniques Olympic athletes and Navy SEALs use to perform under pressure? In this video, I'll share 6 elite mental training methods backed by neuroscience that will rewire your brain for peak performance. I discovered these techniques when researching how astronauts prepare for life-or-death situations in space. Research from Stanford's Neuroscience Lab shows that elite performers don't have superhuman brains. They just train their minds differently. The problem is, most people try to stay motivated instead of building actual mental systems. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to train your focus, resilience, and decision-making like someone who's paid millions to perform at their best. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The first technique sounds almost too simple to work. Tactical breathing, specifically the box breathing method, is a 4-count breathing pattern used by Navy SEALs before high-stakes missions. You breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold empty for 4. It's called a physiological reset button because it literally changes your nervous system state in under 60 seconds. Research from the Department of Defense found that this breathing pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's natural calming mechanism. Here's what's fascinating. When you're stressed, your brain enters survival mode and shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logical thinking and focus. Elite performers know this, so they use tactical breathing to manually override the stress response. Your heart rate variability increases, which scientists have proven is directly linked to better decision-making under pressure. First, set 3 breathing anchors throughout your day. These are specific moments when you always do 1 round of box breathing, right before you start work, before important meetings, and when you feel your stress rising. Second, use the 4 to 4 count, but here's the key most people miss. Count in your head using the word Mississippi, like this: 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. This forces you to slow down. Third, place your hand on your stomach to ensure you're breathing deeply into your belly, not shallow chest breathing. For instance, instead of chugging coffee when you feel scattered, try 2 minutes of box breathing first. You'll be shocked at how fast your mind clears. But that's not all. This next technique is what separates good performers from legendary ones. Most people don't know this, but Olympic gold medalists spend nearly as much time training in their minds as they do physically. Mental rehearsal, or visualization, is the practice of vividly imagining yourself successfully completing a task before you actually do it. We're not talking about wishful thinking or daydreaming. Elite performers create detailed mental movies where they see, feel, hear, and even smell their success. Michael Phelps famously watched his mental videotape of the perfect race twice a day, every day. Neuroscience research from the University of Chicago reveals something mind-blowing. Your brain can't tell the difference between vivid imagination and real experience. When you mentally rehearse, the same neural pathways fire as when you actually perform the action. A famous study had basketball players split into 3 groups. 1 practiced free throws physically, 1 only visualized, and 1 did nothing. The visualization-only group improved almost as much as the physical practice group. This works because you're essentially doing reps in your mind, building mental muscle memory. Japanese sports psychologists call this imprinting the blueprint of success. First, choose 1 challenging task or moment you face regularly. Maybe it's a presentation, a difficult conversation, or starting your focused work block. Second, find 5 quiet minutes each morning and close your eyes. Mentally walk through the entire experience in slow motion, engaging all 5 senses. What do you see? What sounds surround you? How does confidence feel in your body? Third, crucially, rehearse handling obstacles. Don't just visualize perfection. Imagine something going wrong and see yourself calmly adapting. Fourth, End each session with a successful outcome and the feeling of accomplishment. For instance, instead of anxiously dreading your presentation, spend 5 minutes each morning for 3 days seeing yourself deliver it powerfully. By the time you present, your brain will feel like it's done this successfully before. This brings me to the next secret, and it's something elite performers practice daily. Now, you might be thinking you're good at multitasking, but here's the truth. Attention residue is the cognitive cost you pay every time you switch tasks. When you jump from email to a project to a text message, part of your attention stays stuck on the previous task. Elite performers ruthlessly protect themselves from this by using what's called task batching and hard edges between activities. They complete one thing fully before moving to the next, creating mental compartments. Research from Microsoft and the University of California found that after each interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to return to full focus. But there's more to this. Professor Sophie Leroy discovered that when you switch tasks without completing the first one, your brain continues processing it in the background, draining your mental resources. Think of it like having 30 browser tabs open on your computer. Everything slows down. Elite performers understand that focus blocks of single-task work produce exponentially better results than scattered multitasking. This is why surgeons don't check their phones during surgery, and why chess grandmasters enter flow states by eliminating all distractions. First, audit your day and identify your switching triggers. These are usually notifications, open tabs, or visible to-do lists that pull your attention. Second, create 90-minute sealed work blocks where you work on exactly one thing. Turn off notifications, close your email, and tell people you're unavailable. The 90-minute duration matches your brain's natural ultradian rhythm. Third, between each block, take a complete 15-minute break where you physically move away from your workspace. This signals to your brain that the previous context is complete. Fourth, use a simple closing ritual like writing done, task name to create psychological completion. For instance, instead of bouncing between 5 projects all morning, choose one, set a timer for 90 minutes, and give it your complete attention. You'll accomplish more in that single block than most people do in a full day of scattered work. But wait, there's more to this. The next technique might be the most powerful of all. This next one is crucial, and it's something Navy SEALs do in training that changes everything. Stress inoculation is the practice of deliberately exposing yourself to controlled discomfort to build resilience. Just like vaccines expose you to small amounts of a virus to build immunity, elite performers regularly do hard things on purpose. This includes cold showers, intense workouts, uncomfortable conversations, or voluntarily taking on challenges slightly beyond their current ability. The key word is controlled. You're choosing the stress, not being ambushed by it. Neuroscience reveals that your stress response system is trainable, just like a muscle. Research from Yale's Stress Lab shows that when you voluntarily face challenges, your brain learns that stress is manageable and that you can handle discomfort. Over time, your threshold for what feels overwhelming increases dramatically. Here's the fascinating part. When astronauts train, they're repeatedly put in simulated emergencies until their nervous system stops treating those situations as threats. Their brains literally rewire to stay calm in chaos. Japanese martial arts philosophy calls this tempering the spirit through hardship. Each time you choose discomfort, you're teaching your amygdala, your brain's fear center, that you're capable of more than you think. First, start with micro-exposures. Pick one uncomfortable thing you can do daily in under 5 minutes. The classic is a cold shower. Start with the last 30 seconds cold, then gradually increase. Second, adopt the one hard thing per week rule. Choose something that makes you nervous but isn't dangerous. Speaking up in a meeting, trying a new skill in public, having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Third, during these moments, practice staying present rather than escaping. Notice the discomfort without judging it. Say to yourself, "This is uncomfortable and I can handle it." Fourth, keep a resilience journal where you write down each hard thing you did and how you felt after. You'll build evidence that you're stronger than your comfort zone suggests. For instance, instead of only doing things you're confident about, deliberately seek out situations where you might fail or feel awkward. That's where the growth happens. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful that elite performers do every single day. Here's what most people get completely wrong about peak performance. Elite performers don't just train hard, they recover harder. Recovery protocols are systematic rest practices that allow your nervous system and mind to rebuild. This includes strategic naps, digital detoxes, nature exposure, and what researchers call psychological detachment from work. LeBron James reportedly spends over $1.5 million annually on recovery. Navy SEALs have mandatory rest periods after intense training. This isn't laziness. It's understanding that your mind needs downtime to process, consolidate, and grow stronger. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that people who psychologically detach from work during off hours show significantly higher focus, creativity, and resilience the next day. Here's the science. Your brain has two modes: sympathetic, performance stress, and parasympathetic, rest recovery. Most people stay stuck in sympathetic mode 16 hours a day, which leads to burnout and mental fog. When you properly recover, your brain enters a state where it processes information, forms new neural connections, and clears out mental waste products. Sleep researchers discovered that during deep rest, your brain literally was away toxic proteins that build up during focused work. Elite performers treat recovery as sacred because they know that adaptation happens during rest, not during the work itself. First, establish a hard stop time for your workday and protect it fiercely. When that time hits, close your laptop and don't just check one more thing. Second, create a 30-minute decompression ritual each evening. This might include a walk outside, stretching, reading fiction, or talking with family. Anything that's completely different from your work. Third, practice the digital sunset rule. No screens 1 hour before bed. The blue light disrupts your recovery sleep. Fourth, take 1 full day per week for complete mental rest. No productivity, no self-improvement content, no guilt about wasting time. For instance, instead of powering through exhaustion because you think that's what successful people do, recognize that strategic rest is the success strategy. You can't perform at elite levels on a depleted nervous system. This brings me to the final technique, and it might surprise you. Most people fail not because they lack motivation, but because they lack this one thing. Implementation intentions are pre-made decisions that follow a simple formula. If X happens, then I will do Y. Elite performers never rely on willpower in the moment. They decide in advance exactly what they'll do when faced with specific situations. For example, if I feel the urge to check my phone during focused work, then I will take 3 deep breaths and write down the thought. This removes decision fatigue and automates high-performance behaviors. Research from psychologist Peter Gollwitzer found that people who use implementation intentions are 2 to 3 times more likely to achieve their goals than those who rely on motivation alone. Here's why it's so powerful. Every decision you make throughout the day drains your willpower, which scientists now know is a limited resource. When you pre-decide, you bypass the internal negotiation. Your brain simply executes the plan. Olympic athletes use this extensively. If my opponent scores, then I will immediately refocus on my next move. Or if I feel nervous before competing, then I will do my breathing routine. Studies from the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology show this works because you're creating a mental link between a situational cue and a specific behavior. Your subconscious starts scanning for the trigger and automatically executes the response. First, identify your 3 biggest performance obstacles. Maybe it's procrastination, distraction, or giving up when things get hard. Second, for each obstacle, write one crystal-clear implementation intention. Be specific, not if I'm distracted, I'll focus, but if I notice I'm scrolling social media, then I will close the app, stand up, and do 10 jumping jacks to reset. Third, write these intentions on an index card and review them each morning. This primes your brain to recognize the triggers. Fourth, stack implementation intentions with existing habits. If I pour my morning coffee, then I will immediately review my top 3 priorities for the day. For instance, instead of hoping you'll make good decisions under pressure, eliminate the decision entirely by pre-committing. When the situation arrives, you'll execute automatically like a well-programmed elite performer. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1, tactical breathing to reset your nervous system instantly. Number 2, mental rehearsal to program success into your brain. Number 3, attention residue management to protect your focus. Number 4, stress inoculation to build unshakable resilience. Number 5, recovery protocols to maximize adaptation and growth. Number 6, implementation intentions to automate high-performance behaviors. Remember, elite performers aren't born with superhuman minds. They simply train their mental systems with the same intensity most people reserve for physical exercise. You have everything you need right now to start training like someone who's paid to perform under pressure. The only difference between where you are today and peak mental performance is consistent practice of these 6 techniques. Don't wait until you feel ready or until life gets less stressful. Start with just one technique today. Pick the one that resonated most. Maybe it's box breathing or implementation intentions, and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. I promise you, 1 month from now, you'll look back and realize your mind works completely differently. If you found this helpful, hit that like button so more people can discover these elite mental training techniques. Subscribe for more neuroscience-backed performance strategies like this. Drop a comment telling me which technique you're going to try first, or share your own mental training method that's worked for you. And if you want to learn how elite performers optimize their daily routines, check out this video next, where I break down the morning rituals of Navy SEALs, Olympic athletes, and Fortune 500 CEOs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next One Light Performers Do.